Here are 7 horror movies coming this spring to look out for. Up first is Lee Cronen's The Mummy, releasing on April 17th. The young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she is returned to them, as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living nightmare.
Hey, Butterfly. It's Mom and Dad.
Yeah, we are here.
As you can tell from the title, this is directed by Lee Cronin, who was the director of Evil Dead Rise, and you can definitely see some of the similarities in the style, I feel like. Apparently this movie had some pretty bad test screenings from a few months ago, but people should definitely form their own opinions, of course. I think the trailer looks pretty decent, personally. I also read that something that test audiences had a negative reaction to was one scene in particular being too vile, but that doesn't put me off the movie, that honestly just makes me more curious, and I know a lot of other horror fans will feel the same. Also coming out on April 17th is the movie Hive. A teenage babysitter loses the young girl she's taking care of, then faces an insidious entity lurking among playground children. As reality blurs, she must navigate a deceptive world in order to survive. This is a Tubi original, so will be available to stream for free. I know Tubi movies don't have the best reputation since they're, always lower budget, but there are some great ones, and this one definitely looks interesting. This concept reminds me a lot of the film The Children from 2008, the one where the kids get sick and turn into vicious killers, but Hive looks like it's maybe got more of a supernatural element going on. The title of the movie, I assume, is implying a hive mind, so I'm definitely intrigued, I'll say that. Exit 8 is coming out on April 24th. A man becomes increasingly desperate when he realizes he is trapped in a subway station. While navigating the endless corridors, he needs to complete a mission to find Exit 8. But even a single oversight will send him straight back to the beginning. This Japanese movie is based off the video game of the same name, which I wasn't really familiar with, but it does sound really interesting. I love any stories that have someone getting lost in some type of impossible infinite space. It looks like it's going to be trippy and mysterious, and I'm always down for that vibe. And then again, on April 24th is the movie Apex. A grieving woman is pushing her limits on a solo adventure in the Australian wild, but becomes ensnared in a twisted game with a cunning killer who thinks she's his prey.
So look, it's very simple. You've got until the very end of this song to get as far away from me as you can. You got the right shoes on? It'll be fine.
Everybody got a target tonight.
This new release is a Netflix movie and looks a little more psychological thriller than horror, but obviously has a great cast attached, as it's starring Charlize Theron and Taron Egerton, so that's a big plus. And I usually enjoy these kind of cat and mouse survival movies, even if they rarely end up being a favourite of mine, but who knows, maybe this one will be. Coming out on the 1st of May is Hokum. When novelist Owen Bauman retreats to a remote inn to scatter his parents' ashes, he is consumed by tales of a witch haunting the honeymoon suite. Disturbing visions and a shocking disappearance forces him to confront dark corners of his past. I'm definitely interested in this one, partly because it stars Adam Scott, but also because it's directed by Damien McCarthy. He's the Irish filmmaker who made Oddity and Caveat, both very well done movies and both pretty creepy as well, so I'm hoping that Hokum is gonna get a good scare out of me. Not too often that happens nowadays as a desensitized horror fan, but this one looks like it has potential for sure. Obsession is coming out on May 15th. After breaking the mysterious One-Wish Willow to win his crush's heart, a hopeless romantic finds himself getting exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires come at a dark, sinister price.
You only get one wish. I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the entire world.
And this is one of the horror movies I am the most excited for this year because I'm so hooked by this concept. Yes, it seems simple or like we've seen similar concepts before, but I just can't wait to see where they take this. I've seen some people that got to see it early at festivals have extremely positive things to say, but I'm trying not to let that set my expectations too high, as I've been let down a few times by that recently. But I've also heard this movie gets pretty intense, and that just makes me even more curious to see it.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
And then on May 29th is Backrooms. The description for this one is kept pretty vague on IMDb or Letterboxd, only telling us the movie is about a strange doorway appearing in the basement of a furniture showroom. So this is a really interesting one because it started from a popular creepypasta that became an internet series, and the teenager who created that series, Kane Parsons, is also the director of this movie. And the series is sort of an analog horror / found footage kind of format. So I'm curious to see how that translates to a live action movie and how different it'll be.
All these rooms. This place builds them. It's like a maze. It just goes on and on.
I will say from this trailer, the way the Backrooms actually look are pretty spot on. Very creepy and definitely has that off-putting liminal space aesthetic going on. I'm not super familiar with the lore or anything, but I think a lot of it is kind of mysterious and left up to imagination. And from what I'm seeing online, this movie is going to be following its own news story. So there you have it. I used the UK release dates for these, by the way, so if you're elsewhere they might be a little bit different. But I'd like to know which of these films you want to see the most and why. And if you want to see more horror content, then please subscribe. I'm still a baby channel, so liking or commenting really helps me out, and thank you for watching.